Picture this: a flatbread, some tomato sauce, melted cheese. Today, we call it pizza, but 300 years ago, this combination would have horrified most of Europe. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the story of pizza, how a peasant food from the slums of Naples became the most eaten dish on the planet. Let's start with the tomato, because without it, there's no pizza story at all. Tomatoes are native to South America. The Aztecs were growing them long before Europeans arrived. When Spanish conquistadors brought tomato seeds back to Europe in the 16th century, nobody trusted this strange red fruit. It belonged to the nightshade family, the same family as deadly belladonna. Wealthy Europeans believed it was poisonous. For nearly 200 years, the tomato was grown only as a decorative plant. Nobody dared to eat it. So who finally ate the tomato? The poor. The people who had nothing to lose and everything to gain from a free source of food growing in their gardens. In Naples, in southern Italy, the poorest people in Europe lived in cramped, overcrowded slums. They couldn't afford meat, they couldn't afford proper meals, so they took flatbread, a food that had existed in some form since ancient Egypt, and they topped it with whatever they could find. And eventually, that included tomatoes. This early version of pizza had no official name yet. Street vendors sold it folded in paper, eaten standing up, for a few coins. It was considered disgusting by the upper classes. Travelers who visited Naples in the 18th century wrote home describing this strange food with horror. Greasy, messy, eaten by hand by dirty street children. One French traveler called it the most disgusting food imaginable. Nobody could have predicted what was coming. Everything changed in 1889. Queen Margherita of Savoy, the Queen of Italy, was visiting Naples. She had heard about this strange food the common people ate, and out of curiosity, she asked to try it. A local pizzaiolo named Raphael Esposito was given the honor of cooking for the Queen. Esposito created 3 different pizzas for her to try, but one stood out, topped simply with tomato, mozzarella cheese, and fresh basil. Red, white, and green. The exact colors of the Italian flag, which had only been unified as one country less than 30 years earlier. The Queen loved it, and Esposito named it in her honor, Pizza Margherita. This single moment changed everything. If pizza was good enough for a queen, it was good enough for everyone. Pizza started moving up the social ladder. It went from street food to restaurant food. Pizzerias began opening throughout Naples, and the most famous one, Pizzeria Brandy, still claims to be the birthplace of the margherita and still serves it today, more than a century later. Now we cross the Atlantic, because the next chapter of pizza's story happens in America, and it happens because of immigration. Between 1880 and 1920, millions of Italians left their homeland, fleeing poverty and searching for a better life. Most of them came from southern Italy, including Naples. They settled in cities like New York, Chicago, and Boston, bringing their food traditions with them. Pizza arrived in America in the suitcases and memories of Italian immigrants. The first official pizzeria in the United States opened in 1905. Lombardi's on Spring Street in New York City. Gennaro Lombardi, an Italian immigrant, got a grocery store license that allowed him to sell pizza wrapped in paper, just like back home in Naples. For decades, pizza remained mostly an Italian-American food, eaten in Italian neighborhoods, largely unknown to the rest of the country. Everything changed after World War II. American soldiers who had been stationed in Italy came home with a taste for this strange, delicious food. Suddenly, pizza wasn't just an immigrant dish anymore. It was becoming American. The 1950s and 60s transformed pizza from a regional dish into a national obsession, and then a global industry. In 1958, 2 brothers, Dan and Frank Carney, borrowed $600 from their mother and opened a small restaurant in Wichita, Kansas. They called it Pizza Hut. It would grow into one of the largest pizza chains in the world, Then, in 1960, another chain began that would change everything about how pizza reached people. Tom Monahan bought a small pizza store in Michigan called Dominic's. He renamed it Domino's. His big idea wasn't the pizza itself, it was speed. Domino's promised delivery within 30 minutes or the pizza was free. This simple promise turned pizza into something different entirely. Not just food, but a service. Fast, convenient, available at the press of a phone button. Pizza also began to transform itself, adapting to local tastes everywhere it landed. Chicago created deep dish pizza. Thick, heavy, baked in a pan, more like a pie than a flatbread. New York developed its own thin crust style. Foldable, meant to be eaten on the go, on the street, in a hurry, much closer to its Neapolitan roots, but bigger. And once pizza went global, it transformed again and again. In Japan, you'll find pizza topped with squid and mayonnaise. In Brazil, pizza is topped with green peas. In India, paneer and tandoori chicken pizza is everywhere. In Sweden, you can order a pizza topped with banana and curry powder. Pizza stopped being Italian. It became a blank canvas, and every culture painted it with its own flavors. But not all pizza innovation happened in restaurants. Some of the biggest changes happened in factories with frozen pizza. The first frozen pizza was introduced in 1957 by a company called Celentano Brothers, but it was Rose and Jim Totino who truly built an empire on it. In Minnesota, Totino's frozen pizza became a household name. Then, in 1965, Tombstone Pizza was born in a small Wisconsin tavern of the same name, when the owner started selling frozen pizzas to bar patrons who wanted something to eat with their beer. Frozen pizza solved a problem nobody had solved before: how to bring restaurant-style pizza into the home, ready in minutes, at a fraction of the cost. But making a pizza that could survive freezing, shipping, and reheating without becoming a soggy, tasteless disc was a serious scientific challenge. Food scientists had to solve multiple problems at once. The cheese needed to melt properly after freezing without turning rubbery or separating into oil and solids. But crust needed to stay crispy, not turn soggy from ice crystals forming inside the dough. The sauce needed to keep its flavor without becoming watery once thawed. The solution involved partially baking the crust before freezing, called blast freezing, where pizzas are frozen at extremely low temperatures, sometimes below -40 degrees, in a matter of minutes rather than hours. Fast freezing creates smaller ice crystals, which cause less damage to the texture of the dough and cheese. This single technique transformed frozen pizza from a soggy disappointment into something genuinely enjoyable. Today, frozen pizza is a multi-billion-dollar industry. In the United States alone, frozen pizza sales exceed $5 billion a year. It became a staple of home freezers worldwide, proof that even the most traditional food can be reinvented by science without losing what made people fall in love with it in the first place. Before we wrap up, let's talk about the most expensive pizza in the world. Because if poor Neapolitan street vendors could see this, they would never believe it. The most expensive pizza ever created is called the Louis XIII, made by chef Renato Viola in Salerno, Italy. It costs over $8,000. One pizza, $8,000. What justifies that price? The toppings include 3 different types of caviar, lobster from Norway, and buffalo mozzarella made specifically for this dish. The pizza takes 48 hours to prepare in advance, and it's delivered directly to the customer's home by the chef himself, who also brings champagne to pair with it. Only a handful of these pizzas have ever been sold. And then there's the largest pizza ever made, a Guinness World Record set in Italy in 2012. It measured over 12,000 square feet. That's roughly the size of 2 basketball courts combined. It took dozens of bakers working together, using over 19,000 pounds of flour, 9,000 pounds of tomato sauce, and almost 10,000 pounds of mozzarella. From street food eaten with bare hands in Naples slums to a pizza the size of a small stadium. The journal is almost impossible to believe. So here we are. From a forbidden fruit that Europeans were too afraid to eat, to a peasant dish sold wrapped in paper on the streets of Naples, to a meal fit for a queen, to a global industry worth over $150 billion a year. Pizza traveled across oceans in the suitcases of immigrants, adapted to every culture it touched, survived being frozen and shipped around the world, and somehow never lost what made it special in the first place: the simple joy of bread, sauce, and cheese, shared with other people. Today, an estimated 5 billion pizzas are sold worldwide every single year. That's about one pizza for every 2 people on Earth. Pizza isn't just food anymore, it's a universal language. And the next time you take a bite, remember, you're tasting 300 years of history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more. See you next time.